let's just talk about what is microbiome, which is the colonies of bacteria that our body carries inside of us. We are a walking petri dish of bacteria and viruses and fungi and so many other microorganisms. And the whole ecosystem is called microbiome, that consists of all these living organisms within the living organism, which is us. So, and there is a different colonies and different families of hormones. We call them, let's just divide them into good bacteria and bad bacteria, because it's millions of them. And we can name which one is good and which one is bad, but each bacteria carries its own properties. So let's say a family group of good bacteria is the one that brings clarity, detoxification, produces certain vitamins in your system, and make your body flourish and stay healthy. Other group, let's call them bad bacteria, they actually create inflammation. They're toxic, and if they stay long enough and produce more colonies, they can actually create disease in your system. And someone asked me, how would I completely remove bad bacteria from my body and replace it with good bacteria? There's no such thing. You can't do that. It's impossible. It's impossible because this is what we consist of. And even if you become, let's say, theoretically, become sterile, immediately after 2 hours of exposure to this external world, you will collect those colonies back to your body again. So the idea not to eliminate them completely, but to balance them and live in harmony in that ecosystem. You who carries those micro elements and micro life in your system, in your body, you just have to learn how to feed good colonies and not to feed bad colonies. So feed, what's that? And we say there is a prebiotic and probiotic. There is a probiotic and prebiotic. So probiotic is the actual bacteria. Let's say it's a good bacteria, the bacteria of the good family. And there is a prebiotic, which is food to feed that bacteria. So now we know we have a family of good bacteria and we have a family of bad bacteria. So now we have to ask ourselves, what makes good bacteria and bad bacteria grow? And there's such thing called prebiotic, which is food for your microbiome. So good bacteria loves eating healthy foods, healthy as per our definition, what we know today as healthy. Bad bacteria loves unhealthy foods that we know, which is sugar, which is gluten, which is all these, like alcohol and all that. So now we know that you can feed good bacteria with good food and stop feeding bad bacteria with bad food. Okay, so at least it's logical, right? It's logical. Now, another thing that is very interesting fact that good bacteria can live without food for more than 3 days, sometimes more than 7 days. Bad bacteria cannot survive without food for more than 48 hours, 36 hours. That is a very important point. Why? Because if you want to reset your microbiome, notice I didn't say eliminate bad bacteria, but reset your microbiome. If you want to do that, you might as well just start first with fasting. And not just 24-hour fasting, but at least 36-hour fasting, where certain chunk of bad bacteria will start slowly dying off because you're not feeding it. If you can do 48 hours, even better. And then slowly introduce healthy foods and feed good guys, so to speak. You can also take probiotics. There's a lot of the huge variety of probiotics for gut health, for vaginal health, and the one that I recommend to take in my office for vaginal health is Clear V. That is proven to improve your microflora in the vagina within 3 months. But there is a lot of other brands, and I'm not going to go into brands. I'm not selling brands here. I'm just giving you education about probiotics so it would help you to make your choice to buy them. So if you buy probiotics, sometimes it's better to buy, first of all, you have to buy higher doses if you're buying it in capsules. And what's higher doses? Anything between 50 billion to 100 billion colonies of bacteria is great. Second, you have to look in how many varieties of those bacteria you have in that particular formulation. If that formulation is carrying only 3 or 4, lactobacilli and a couple of others, it's not as good as, let's say, the one that has 20 variations. Why? Because diversification of your microbiome is very important. And then you have to also look into some formulas that actually have probiotic and prebiotic with them together, meaning that you bringing bacteria with their little packets of foods so they can live there and multiply and survive. You're not just taking it, but you're creating good nurturing environment for that bacteria that you're introducing in your body. One thing I could tell you, that certain foods that are packed with probiotics, they also packed with some other unnecessary stuff. For example, kombucha. Kombucha has huge variety of good gut healthy bacteria, but it also has some sugar and also has some environmental properties that creates, it also has some properties that creates good nourishing effect for candida. So you have to be careful. Those who stay on kombucha only usually do not do well. Kombucha must not be your primarily, kombucha shouldn't be your primary source of probiotics. You can have kombucha here and there, but you have to have other sources. Again, remember, diversification, diversify your microbiome. It's very important. The more good bacteria, the more colonies of good bacteria you have, more families you have, the better the ecosystem of your microbiome would be. And that's why things like kimchi, for example, kefir, they have milder effect on candida, almost none, especially kimchi. So that would be great. And then kimchi itself has it has a very interesting properties. I don't know that people know when people buy kimchi and read the ingredients of those probiotics on that particular jar. It depends how long this jar was there and the process of brewing happening for how long, we don't know. And then that bacteria actually changes. The microbiome of kimchi evolves and changes as it stays a certain period of time, just like good wine. So that is also a very interesting fact about kimchi, and consider kimchi one of the best supplements for probiotics if you can tolerate them. Another way of resetting your microbiome, which is a lot of times is the healthiest way, I think, is to eat food. Kimchi is just it's like a salad or appetizer. It's not really food. You can't just survive off kimchi and eat kimchi only. You can't. But there are foods like the diet, like carnivore diet, when you eat nose to tail, and not processed carnivore diet, but I'm talking about if you're doing it to reset your microbiome, you have to eat grass-fed, important, and I will talk about this why, And you have to eat nose to tail, meaning that including organs, organ meats, and fats. Besides that, you're bringing that environment by eating fats for bacteria that is producing, let's say, vitamin K, that this environment conducive, an environment that is nourishing for that K, vitamin K producing bacteria, which is oil soluble vitamin K is, it will help to absorb and get benefits out of this. That's the reason why when people go on carnivore diet, they feel better, they not bloated, they lose weight, they get the autoimmune disease, they get autoimmune disease under control, their skin is better, and their hormones are also get more balanced. And the reason behind that, reason number one, is because your microbiome is being reset completely. It's being reset completely. And as a result, those little microbes that you have in your gut produce more nutrients, vitamins, minerals, and other agents. As a result, you produce more serotonin, norepinephrine, you become more energetic, and as a result, you become healthier. As a result, your brain works better because your brain consists of fat. Besides the neuron, the wiring, the rest is fat. It's fatty tissue. So you need those fats. So yes, I am a big proponent of carnivore diet. And again, I cannot attest that a long-term carnivore diet is good. I know that there are people who take it and eat it for many years. Me personally, I do it in phases. I go between carnivore to just sometimes even just vegan. Want a fruit. I just play with that, and the reason why, in my mind, in my opinion, why I do that is to diversify. Every time when you switch from one type of diet to another, you're constantly creating this shift in microbiome. And the shift in microbiome makes the movement in your body in terms of your metabolism, in terms of hormone production, and so forth. So that's why it's important to respect those little guys that live in your body called microbes, good bacteria. And that's why it's good not to engage with bad guys, which is bad bacteria. So, and stay away from bad foods. So each time when you eat something, now eat consciously. Eat consciously, and it's always good to eat consciously. It's always good to be aware and be grateful what you're putting in your mouth and what's going into your system and what's giving you nourishment. So keep in mind. Another good thing about carnivore diet, which I really love, is initially you eat a lot. You can eat in unlimited amounts. But then you become saturated. So then once satiety, that satiety hits in your body, you don't eat to eat a lot. You just eat maybe once a day, and that's enough. And it's good for intermittent fasting. It's great. But then for those who think that it's expensive, which, today everything is expensive, on the long run, it actually becomes cheaper because all you're doing is just buying that meat and you're eating maybe one steak a day, and that's it. So if you really think about it, it's actually cheaper for real long-term carnivore people. That's one of the benefits. I'm not selling any carnivore diet. I'm just explaining how it works, and you decide yourself. You want to try it? Give it a shot. Don't forget to share don't forget to like and comment and help me to grow this channel. I would really appreciate that.